Hello everyone, this is Icarus. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Know Your Geometry Dash mod. This one is a very special episode because we have our first ever Elder mod, and by the title you can tell it's SirHadoken. Is it okay if I just call you Hado? Because I know sometimes people call you that.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
Alright, awesome. So we have we have Hado on, and we're just gonna start with the question I always ask first because it's a pretty basic question. How'd you find out about Geometry Dash?
This is actually a really funny question. I feel like some of us really didn't really find it in like super special ways. Mine was super coincidental. I was in class in sixth or seventh grade. I think it was seventh grade. It was like a history class, and I was always the stickler who never played games on their like school devices during class. I was super strict towards myself and sometimes to other people about it. I was that kind of person. And so I would always usually try to like advise people to maybe, listen to the teacher when they're saying something important when they're not paying attention, just so that they, got what they needed in order to do well on the tests. Um, but there was one particular day where we were both sitting in the back, and there was this one kid who was playing. I think it was like Stereo Madness or Back on Track. It was one of the like base level, like very first things that you play when you open the game. And rather than being like you should be paying attention, I was like kind of drawn into it, and I was like, "What is that? What is that you're doing?" And so he explained to me what it was, and so I went home. I waited until I was home, and then I downloaded it, and I started playing it. It was a little frustrating, obviously, because I wasn't used to it. But then I had it muted at first, so I didn't really get the full experience. So just out of curiosity, it was either just out of curiosity or by complete accident that I turned the volume on, and when I realized that the music synced with the jumps and the inputs, I was in love basically instantly.
Oh, that is super cool. That's super cool. I was kind of the same way as you back in, but like not playing video games on school devices. But that's cool. What update was? Do you, if you remember, what update did you start in exactly?
Oh man. I think I started playing it in 1.6, but I wasn't able to get the full version for a few like months. I'm super weird about money. My parents are super weird about money because we were going through a relatively hard time, so I didn't want to spend it unless I absolutely had to, so I wanted to make sure that it was something that I would be invested in for a long period of time, which is why I like made myself play it as much as I did as I grew up. But I beat everything in the light version. Waited for them to put Jumper on it because Jumper wasn't on there yet. It was only up to Can't Let Go. And then when I think it was I think it was when 1.8 came out. They put Jumper on the light version, and I beat it within like 30 minutes. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. I have to get the full version. So I did.
Oh,
So it was right when 1.8 came out when I started playing on the full version. But I had been playing for a few months just with the default levels since like late 1.6, early 1.7, I think.
dang, that's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. So when you got the full version, we're all. I think most of the mods that I interview are creator mods. So what drew you into the editor, or what made you find out about it? Because I know you've been building for a really long time.
Yeah, I have. The editor was just kind of like that was kind of what drew me to want to get the full version in the first place. I knew that people could make their own stuff. I didn't look too much into what other people had made, but the idea of being able to make something and customize it to my liking to be exactly like what it was that I had gotten addicted to with the light version was like that was something that seemed to me like it was a worthy investment because it's kind of just endless entertainment. You can just like do whatever you want with it, and this was before custom songs happened, so I was like even more thrilled about that. But it was just there was something so I don't really think I had ever played something before that allowed you to make your own like levels like that. That was kind of a new concept to me. So I was just drawn to that immediately. And obviously I didn't start out anywhere near the standard because I thought the standard was, the first six levels of the game. And it was very much far ahead of that. Um, and yeah, that was basically it was really just the concept in general that really drew me to it and really drew me to teach myself how to use it to its fullest potential.
Yo, that is actually kind of cool. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of new creators also started off like basing their first levels off of like the original Rob Top levels, because I think I did that too. Obviously, I started later than you, but you know, so that's pretty cool. So, were there any like creators when you found them, you're like, dang, I want to be like this creator kind of thing?
Um, I guess yeah, a little bit. I you could probably even actually still find them uploaded to the servers. I was super mesmerized by Triaxis's levels. And there was a whole lot of like community upheaval about Triaxis, but separating, the creator from their product, I still love all of the things that she's uploaded. And it's, I understand that it's for the best that, she doesn't come back because it was really detrimental to, her well-being. And I respect that, but I very gravely miss what she brought to the table with building. And even though it was mostly her levels that I like gravitated towards and wanted to like I have like version 2s and recreations of like pretty much all of her demons except for like Venom, I think. But the first level that truly like blew my mind, even before that happened, was Rainbow Dust by Funny Game, when that got first placed on the featured list, and I had just figured out how to use the featured list. And it just like the little glowy effect where it like comes up out of the ground, even though we didn't have any like triggers for that, so we did all of it with colors. It was like I was so like starstruck by the whole like effect side of things. It was really funny because that isn't the track that I ended up going down. But yeah, Funny Game and Triaxis, very like generic, basic answers, I'm sure, but those were huge inspirations for me.
So I'm assuming when they collabed and made Unity together, that like was like a super awesome moment for you since you looked up to them.
Oh yes, I think it was a super awesome moment for everyone because I think everyone kind of looked up to what it was that they were making at that time, and I think there's a reason why it's one of the most downloaded and most liked insane levels of all time, even 5 or 6 years later.
Yeah, true. Because like people looked up to them both because they were super cool and unique creators that executed stuff well. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Unity was actually the first insane level I beat. But that's cool. That's cool. So you've been a mod for quite a while. How long have you been a mod?
I have the date saved somewhere in my dump server where I do all my storage. I can go ahead and pull that up. May 21st, 2017 was the day that I got mods. So it's been 4 years and 3 months about.
Dang, that's a long time. So when did you get Elder? Was that shortly after, or did that take a while?
It took a little bit longer because the concept of Elder didn't exist at the time that I got modded. I spent a lot of time in the daily comments, and we started like even before Elder happened, and we started realizing that there was kind of a necessity for people to enforce the rules that are presented to you when you first start commenting. We didn't ever really care about it before because there was never really a venue where people would be commenting to such a high volume and capacity that rule breaking would be an issue. But if that were to go unchecked, then there could be an argument made to raise the target age on the App Store, and that would kind of limit the audience since it's kind of targeted to be, really appealing to really young children. And that would kind of be relatively detrimental to the game's ability to grow, especially when, the commenting and stuff is something you can really easily avoid. So we kind of knew that we would need to implement something like that, and I actually wasn't one of the first ones. I was the sixth. Um, I don't remember when. I might have the day saved as well. I don't. But yeah, it would have been sometime in like early 2018, I think. Like maybe like February, March.
Nice, nice. So I feel kind of dumb for asking this, but I know like elder mods and mods are different. So, are elder mods the are what differs? Like, go into the extent you can. I don't know if there's any like top secret stuff you can't mention, but like what differs an elder mod from a mod besides the fact that I think you guys can delete comments. I think, or I don't know exactly what elder mods do besides be moderator. If you could explain that to me and possibly the other audience members who don't really know the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably should have clarified that sooner when I was answering the previous question.
Nah, it's all good.
Yeah, so basically we already know as a baseline that moderators can send levels to Rob, and that's pretty much the only thing in game that they have. But they can obviously they can help elders with stuff if they bring stuff to their attention. But elders can delete comments, they can time people out from commenting. So like if they're like really repeatedly, habitually being a problem, we can like make it so that they can't comment for a specified amount of time, depending on the severity of their offense. We can help add people to the whitelist for like Newgrounds audio. So like you need to be whitelisted, scouted, and you need to enable external API usage on your individual songs for them to be usable in game. And we can do the whitelisting part of that. Newgrounds' audio portal has to do the scouting part of that. Some of us are members of it, so we can also scout. Um, we can help people delete levels that have over 1,000 downloads. They have to reach out to us, and then in order for them to, we can't do it without their permission. In order to give the game permission, in order to let the game know that they give us permission to do it, they have to attempt to delete it themselves, even though it'll fail. And then we can, clear it through. And then I think that's it. There might be something that I'm missing, but overall, it's more the administrative side of stuff, being able to help with um some of the stuff that needs regulated beyond just the sending.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. That's cool. That's cool. Um, so you've been in Geometry Dash for a really long time. So what is something you like to see of in levels, or what's something you like want to see more of in levels that you don't see enough of?
Um, I guess it's kind of hard to say this in a way that is going to I don't know if it's like going to make sense the way that I'm about to like word this, but I kind of want to see people more go for their own visions. I feel like a lot of times I see when people are trying to get, a rate or a feature, they tend to borrow the conventions, the tips and tricks, some of the cut corners as well, from stuff that's already rated. And that makes sense because it's like you want to conform to the things that are successful if you want to achieve that success yourself. But I think really the whole spirit of creating that's been keeping the game alive throughout its like period of stagnation, with the 4 to 5 years without an update, is when people go for their own visions, and when people go for their own ideas and they try to execute something wacky, and they try to, create something that represents themselves, or something that they think, or something that they're going through, something that they feel, maybe something that inspires them. We all perceive the world in different ways. So the more that we, embrace that, and the more that we decide to be proud of that, even if it doesn't conform to those conventions, is what makes it interesting to continue playing the game after, I've already seen all of those levels over the course of, all these years. So I would really, really love to see people try to treat it more as their own blank artistic canvas to kind of, explore and experiment and do what it is that represents them, as opposed to, what represents what someone else has that they want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So like for artistic ability stuff, like I know like music is a huge important part to like making things your own, and I think you make your own music, right?
I do, yeah.
So do you use those in levels, or is that just a side project kind of thing that you do for fun, or both even?
I think I have used a song that I have made for levels twice. One was a sequel to the other. They were the Lithium and Beryllium, which were like an early 2.1, and those were kind of just really ultimately filler. I kind of wish I didn't upload them in the first place. Um, but beyond that, music has always just kind of been more of a side project and its own separate thing for me. I kind of tinkered around with FL Studio for like 4 or 5 years just to teach myself how to use it, and I would release all of these little like things that I would make and these little like halfway completed like just fun little ditties um that I would occasionally, make a practice level with to kind of keep that practice vibe with both the song and the level. Because it would feel weird to use like a fully finished product song for a level that was just kind of like practicing with designs, throwing stuff at the wall, and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, that,
Um, but yeah, aside from that, that actually really helped because I didn't realize that making music would be something that I would want to consider taking seriously at all. And teaching myself how to use FL Studio over those years allowed me to kind of use that experience as a pivot point into making a bit more of a serious attempt at music. Obviously, it's still not like a career or anything, but it's more of a like I wrote an entire album and like recorded and produced and distributed it by myself over the course of this past year. And that's not something I would have ever been able to do if it weren't for, this game getting me into testing the waters with FL Studio and getting the practice. So I think it's yeah, it's something that I've kept separate, but they're still very much intertwined in their importance in my experience as just kind of like a tinkerer of all forms of art.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. Cause like yeah, they're intertwined because I remember what was this? Your song. It was called I think Crystal Clear. I think you did it with Lemons. I remember I first heard that song in a friend's level. I was like, oh, Hado makes music. That's cool. And I went and checked out your other stuff and I enjoyed it. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, Crystal Clear was a fun little project. Lemons and I came up with that on a stream that I was doing like way back then. He used to watch my streams on a pretty regular basis, and I used to stream on a pretty regular basis. And he was like, "What if we made a song and then we made a level with the song that we made? Because that's not something that had ever been done. It was like a double collab." And he did the majority of the music part. I made like the melody, and then like 3 days later, he was like, "The song's done," and I was like, I didn't even get a chance to like do any of the sound design. So I played a relatively small role in actually completing the song. He did most of the advanced technical stuff, and I mainly just did the composition with the melody. But I did a whole lot of the actual level portion, even though it was kind of half and half for the first like 45 seconds. I kind of took over and did the long stretch from that to like a minute and 30. So I did more of the level, he did more of the song. So he uploaded the song and I uploaded the level. So that way we still kind of had that equally balanced sort of contribution factor in there.
Yeah, that's super cool. Like as a musician myself, I've never been able to like figure out how to really do collabs, even though I've never done like electronic music. But I still find that super fascinating and like, cool that you were able to teach yourself that, and let alone like make full length songs that sound good. So
Thank you.
yeah, that's pretty cool. So obviously this is like know your mod, not just know Geometry Dash stuff. So what other games besides Geometry Dash do you play, if any?
I've actually, it's kind of a strange, um, there's a kind of a strange thing about this is that since GD was such a like an easily accessible game, over the course of my childhood when I wasn't really able to like afford stuff, it was kind of the only thing that I played for several years. But now that we're in a little bit of a better place, financially, I've been kind of getting a little bit more into some other things. I actually made a decent amount of friends that are still like huge parts of my my life in terms of how they influenced me through like Overwatch, which was like people who played GD that then got me into playing Overwatch with them, not like that I met them on Overwatch. Um, Overwatch is a big one. I played like Valorant for a little bit, but I'm not good at it, and I feel like I'm a detriment and a burden to my team because I'm not good enough at it. So it really discourages me from continuing to play it. I got into Rust for a little bit with a few friends. The big one that I played before GD was Minecraft, because that was like the only thing that I had. But after my motherboard burned out and I wasn't able to play it for a year, I kind of lost interest and I haven't really played it very seriously ever since.
Yeah.
Um, I've gotten into TF2 a little bit recently. I've been meaning to play Amori. I bought it and then I never opened it. Same with like Doom Eternal. There's a whole bunch of them that I am like interested in giving a try. But either by way of not being able to afford the game itself, not being able to afford hardware that can run the games, or just not really having enough time because I'd already invested so much time and effort and energy into specific individual things. Aside from that, I haven't really had a huge history with multiple other games. But I'm still very much on the track and in the process of, reaching out to other like platformers and things like that would interest me. Like Super Meat Boy was a huge like pillar of my childhood when my uncle showed it to me. I eventually got into Celeste for a little bit and did a stream playthrough. Like Hollow Knight is another huge one for me. I have to do another playthrough of that one. I almost beat it and then I lost the Game Pass, so I wasn't able to access the
Oh
file anymore.
no.
I've had a it's been a pretty wild ride. I'm still very much in the process of like figuring out what it is that I like. If anyone has any recommendations and they want to send them my way, they absolutely should and can.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'll put all your links in the description so people can like get in contact with you and stuff like servers and Twitter if you want.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So I think we're gonna end it up here. This is probably gonna be the longest episode, but that's all right because it was a super interesting, awesome episode. To the audience, thank you for coming on. If you want me to reach out to any other mods, just drop a comment. Hado's links and cool stuff will be in the description, obviously. And thank you, and I will see you guys in the next one.